Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this video, I'm going to show you some of my study about Blender BBones, aka the Bendy Bones, and I'm gonna explore it using the animation nodes and Sverchok. In the previous video, you have seen me using like a bone chain to drive like a flower petals. I was thinking to do the same thing, but I will also improve on top of that. So let's get started. File save as. This is gonna be animation nodes Sverchok, and this is actually gonna be like a tentacles instead of flower. Later on, I'm gonna be using like a kind of like a tentacles kind of model. Okay, so let's hide the lamp and the camera, delete the default cube, switch to compositing. We start with Sverchok. Okay, in the previous example, to create the petal, I'm using Sverchok and the circle. Kind of want to show you like a trick. Okay, let's give us. I'm gonna show it with Sverchok. It's much clearer. So I have a line here, vertices and edges. It's a line. The default lines goes in x-axis, so that's okay. We already know that. If we plug in the circle into the matrix, let's have a look. Of course, we get that. Just like the lines being instanced around the circle vertices, so that's quite easy to understand. There's something that's just like a little trick that's Sverchok. It's not so obvious. If we actually plug in the vertices into the angle, you see what we get? It's kind of like we're getting kind of something that's almost like ray coming out, almost like the flower thing, but it's not yet working properly unless I plug in vertices to the rotation as well. Doesn't seem to work as I planned. Let's see what's going on. The angle. Let me plug in the vertices to the rotation. Now it's kind of doing it, which is a little bit strange. Maybe it's a Sverchok thing. By doing it like this, we're really kind of giving the line. We're using the circle kind of normal, and then to generate this kind of flower kind of petal, flower kind of structure. So that's something that we're gonna use in this kind of demo. So what I'm gonna do, instead of flower, we have seen flower, and we know we can kind of curl the flower. So that's you can watch in the previous video. But what we're gonna do today is something like imagine if you have like a virus kind of creatures, and then you have this tentacles that you want to control procedurally. How are you going to do that? So that's what I'm gonna show you today, and I'm gonna use Blender BBones as well. So it's kind of there's a lot to cover, but don't worry, it's gonna be still pretty simple. Start with Ecosphere. What I like about Ecosphere is kind of like the points of Ecosphere is kind of arranged in a equal pattern in a sphere, on a sphere. So that's what I'm gonna use. So I will instead of using the circle, I will use this Ecosphere to kind of instance the line. Let's do that real quick. Objects in MK2, get selection. So I get my Ecosphere. plug in the Ecosphere into the location, and see the angle. For the angle, we plug that in. Yeah, that's exactly kind of structure that I want. It's kind of neat that it does that automatically. Let's save that real quick. So we are almost pretty much there. Okay, wait. For BBones, in a previous live noding video, I was talking about, I was using this bone chain. So you can have a small number of bone chain or big number of bone chain. That's kind of important because later on the bones, of course, gonna be influencing polygon mesh, and then we need to think about that early on. For Blender BBones or the Bendy Bones, however, we don't need to think too much about the segment of the bones because we can change the segment at later stage. So we only need 2 points. So this is really, really cool. Imagine if all these polygon edges is gonna be like our joints. This is exactly what we need for the next kind of step in rigging this procedural tentacles. Okay, how do let me think. We will need, I will use like cylinder, and I will use the viewer draw. And now this is gonna be our mesh. So I'm kind of like modeling at the moment. I'm modeling the tentacles, radius top, radius bottom. So I'm using these cylinders because we don't have cone inside Sverchok, but we can use cylinder for that. For the matrix, we can still use the same kind of construct here. We're gonna use the Ecosphere. Plug in the matrix. Okay, we got it. That's interesting with the rotations that it's sort of worked right away. So with the cylinder, which is nice. So how many cylinders? Okay, we have too many vertices. Let's reduce the vertices. 8 should be enough to create kind of like this kind of structure. We have control. Let's have a look. We have control over the radius top and radius bottom. We have control over the weight, the height. You see, the funny thing with the Ecosphere is if we make it like this, it kind of looks like Katamari. Katamari is basically this Japanese game. It's like a ball that's kind of rolling around and kind of like sucking all the objects around the balls. It looks like this. It's basically how come I cannot write? That's weird. Doesn't work. Create a new layer. Okay. Katamari. Anyway, so let's continue with this. So we have created these lines. This line is going to be the joints, the bendy bones, and we also have this tentacle-like kind of structure. Let's properly model it. With the mesh, of course, we need more subdivisions. So something like that. that's gonna be our tentacles. How many? Let's make it 8 subdivisions for now. Still not too heavy. It's still pretty good. Do we need the caps? Yeah, probably leave the caps on. The tentacles might need a. Let's see. I think the length is what matters in this case. So the length of the lines should match the cylinder. So, alright, so that's pretty good. I'll make the line kind of red so it's obvious. Okay, so we have the something that's gonna be the bone and something that's gonna be the mesh. All good. File, save as. Now we can use the MK2. So we have two structure at the moment. Now we can use the MK2, viewer bmesh MK2, and hide this, plug that in, and that, and the matrix, and merge it. So this is gonna be the tentacles. It's a single object, so it can be separate as well, but I'll just make it a single object. I'm gonna put it on layer 2. Let's kill this, put it on layer 2 once again, and then now we have something that's gonna be for the joints. Bmesh MK2 once again, plug that in, and the edges and the matrix. Seems like it's not. Is it not working? Let me try baking it. So baking it, it's kind of working. Looks like there might be something funny with this setup. Maybe this is not the most correct way to do it. I wonder with the cylinder. With the cylinder, it's kind of alright. There's nothing funky there. Oh well, I might be doing it in the wrong way. Anyway, what I'm gonna do, I will bake this and then hide that. Let's bake it again. Let's delete this. Hopefully we have the joints we need. Gonna join this into a single object. Set origin. And then save this. Save to new blend files. Switch to modifier and skin it. And go to edit mode. And then mark the root. So we have all this. It's kind of like the tentacle as well, but we can either use this or use the ones created by Sverchok. Let's use the one used by Sverchok. Create armature, that's what we need. we can hide this into another layer. So we have the armature here. That's what we need. What else? Maybe I need to just a clear pattern, or just leave it for now. Alright, so we have our joints and we have our tentacles. Let's put it on layer 1. Now with the tentacles, let's parent it to the bones. Copy armature with automatic weighting. Okay, now if we switch to pose mode, check the bone and how it's influencing the tentacle. So it's working as planned, except that we have like a single bone chain. How can we work with that? The secret is by using the B bone. So if you select the bones in edit mode, I'm gonna switch to B bone. See the B bone here? For every B bones, we can make it segmented quite easily. So I can increase the segment like that. It's pretty easy. We can have as many segments or as small number as we want, but we have to do it one by one. That's I don't like. You might want to use Python script for that, but we're gonna use animation nodes. Okay, you can actually use a Python for that, but I'm using animation nodes anyway. So this node is gonna be to change the segment, BBones segment. So I'm gonna grab the script that I made earlier, AN bone edit, and by using this script, you will see script node, get the script, create the node. This one can edit bone, edit BBone, and let's turn off always, turn on everything else. Name object is not defined. Okay, we need to give it input object, get the armature. The armature name is armature, so that's correct. And the output's gonna be object list. That's gonna be our bones to be edited. Now let's look through the bones. Use object attribute output. Here's the magic. If we select the bones, and you can see it says segment and B1 segment. Let's change this and then have a look at the history. B-bone segments. Okay, we can type that in. Segments. Value has wrong type. Okay, integer input. Let's make this 8. Subdivision. And switch to object mode. And then update it. Now the B-bone has 8 segments. Okay, cool. That's exactly what we want. We can of course increase it or decrease it. It depends on how detailed your models for tentacle is. For now, this is fine. Okay, now we don't actually need this anymore. I can delete it. File, save as. Okay, B-bones. What's so special about B-bones? Let's have a look. Now we are in pose mode, and the bones seems pretty thick. Maybe there is a way to make it smaller, or actually let's make this bone to be like a wireframe. Okay, so the bone is wireframe now. Now we are in pose mode. The special thing about B-bones, apart from being able to be segmented, is that we can control it using in-out X and in-out Y. So what is in-out X and in-out Y? So if I draw it using grease pencil, if this is your BBones being segmented, you actually have control over the X, Y, and of the top and the bottom. So basically, if you can make it like that just by kind of if you have like a kind of like an anchor point like that, you can also make the bone as kind of shape. So that's the bone. Bend it. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's this way. So that's kind of the plan. So let's try it on one of the bone. There you go. It says in X and in Y. So that's imagine there's like an invisible segment there. We can play around with that, so we can animate the BBones that way. We might need to have more segment or less. Doesn't matter. Leave it 8 for now. Let's zero out all this. Scale in, scale out. That's also handy, and ease in, ease out. You can play around with all that. There's a roll as well. You can twist the bone and it doesn't flip, so it's really, really good. Custom handle. You can use custom handle reference if you have like another bones in and bone out for the BBones. So in this case, we only have the BBones. We don't have the custom handle for that. Okay, so let's just randomize the tentacles using the BBones. Okay. For that, we need another script node, which is the one that I made earlier to kind of post the bones using animation nodes. So I will open the script and get post bones. Okay, this is the script. It's gonna get the armature and get the post bones and then spit it out. Okay, another script node. Get the script, get post bone, and we need, I know we need the object in and we need output object list. Armature is not defined. Armature is the object itself. Get the armature. And now let's see what we can do with this. Let's play around with each bone in and out. Let's try in X and in Y, and then out X and out Y. Let's try one of these. The in X is a good start, so just right click and copy data path, object attribute output, paste. It's gonna BBone curve in X. That's the name of the attribute. Plug in the BBones and give it a value. Value is gonna be float. Input float. Okay, plug that in. Now you see all the tentacles are moving. Very, very cool. With the bone itself, I think we can hide it. Okay, let's just randomize the bone using all random value. We know that we're gonna be using curve in and all that. Let's make 4. It's gonna be curve in Y, and it's gonna be curve out X, curve out Y. Ready with random, a lot of random number. So let's plug in the object. Random number index plug into the seed and duplicate this. It's gonna plug in there, this gonna plug in there, this gonna whoops. This plug into the seed, number goes in there. Now they are all a little bit randoms, but they're all actually I think we need to maybe put a minimum of -1 there. So copy, paste, and paste. Okay, so that's our tentacle that we created procedurally. Obviously, at this moment, in order to randomize, we need to do it from here, from this number. Let's see, how is the better way to do this? File save as. A better way is probably use a number wiggle. So that's all the attributes. So they're all again the attributes of BBones, and it's causing the BBones to kind of making C or S kind of shapes in X and Y directions. We can also twist it as well and do more to it, but I'm gonna leave it like this for now. Instead of using random number, I will use wiggle number wiggle. So we need 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these should have random seed. And let's give it a frame, plug into the evolution, so they're gonna be animating. Plug the number into each of the bone, and let's run the playback. Now they're animating. Very interesting. Let's increase the Ecosphere. Of course, here what would be nice is to have the tentacle is on the face. You can do that already if you are selecting the center of the polygon. That's probably what I will do next. Other than that, it's pretty much done. If we use a 3D viewful and hiding the GUI, it's actually fast and quite real time. Matcap, do it like that. Smooth it. Yeah, maybe also smooth Control 2 and subdivide the object. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Maybe we can wiggle this guy a little bit faster. Speed 3. So do it like this. Amplitude 111 there. The persistent is interesting. Once you play around with the number. it makes the motions kind of instead of like a smoothly moving, it's gonna give like a hold sometimes. It's a little bit slow at the moment because it's because of the subdivisions. Turn the subdivision to back to 0. Okay, now they're a little bit crazy, but as you can see, the limitation at the moment is that the BBones, of course, it looks like 2 strings kind of attached on the top and the bottom. Let me hide the Ecosphere, it's even more obvious. It looks like I don't know, looks like they're both stuck at the top and the bottom. If you use like if you use another bones to control the BBones underneath, it's gonna be a little bit more natural, because we don't want it kind of sticking like that. So if I go back to compositing, let's stop the playback. The trick here, the quick trick is if I use quaternion, if I select the B-bone, where is the B-bone? This guy. Select B-bone in pose mode, and then let's see, rotation here. I can kind of rotate the bones more freely with the quaternion. So get the data path and paste it here. Now for each B-bones, I'm gonna give a random quaternion wiggle, and with random seed and evolution frame speed of 2 maybe, plug in there. Make sure we only paste the attribute name. Something like that should work, I think. Go back to 3D view, full, and then playback. Now they're kind of moving more freely, almost like a real tentacle, almost. Maybe I should have made the tentacles a little bit longer, but I guess that's pretty much that's pretty good for now. So yeah, that's a quick look at how you can procedurally model the bones, procedurally model the tentacles, and then procedurally animate the tentacles using animation nodes. And you model it and then set the bones using Sverchok. That's the kind of workflow that I'm kind of like to present. Yeah, so I guess in the next video I will try to continue like a study with all kind of bone procedural animation and motion. Maybe I'll look at some insects and some robots, maybe try to recreate the motion in Blender that way. Okay, hopefully you like this video tutorial. Please leave comments and feedbacks. Let me know what you think. Thanks again for tuning into this channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and so that I could continue making this. I'm hoping that I can continue making this kind of video tutorials. Thanks again for watching. I'll see